Hey everyone, today I just wanted to go over my own plan. It's changed a bit since the last video I put out about pact resets, so I just thought I'd go over the full plan from relics to packs to the insane endgame build that I'm planning to use, as well as a bit of pathing and some things to think about in the early game. So if anyone wants to use this as a build guide, I'll try and structure it in a way that you can do that, but also I'll just be talking about a couple of things here and there that I think are important to keep in mind, regardless of what your plans are for the league. Personally, my plan is to try and point cap. It's gonna be difficult, I might give up, I might get so far and be like, fuck this. But I'm going to try and get every single task within my regions done and make sure that I can get maximum tasks completions by having access to things like raids for the mega rares and enough tasks for elite combat achievements and collection log slots, all the other stuff that we'll need in order to get that max point cap. I am planning on picking for my regions Kandarin, Zaya and Tyranwin in that order more than likely. This is going to give me a lot of stuff, but the main reasons for the choice, Kandarin, I want to go mage this year. I want to go into an insane elemental build. I wanted to do that before I saw all the packs and everything, but I still want to do it even more so now that I've seen them. So mage is the plan, and the Shadow Flame Quadrant and Devil's Element echo items are going to be insanely powerful for that elemental build, so Kandarin's a no-brainer. Not to mention, this year all the regions are supposed to have equal amount of points within them, whereas Kandarin has previously been weaker because it has the lowest points of all regions. Like if you look at last year's, Kandarin had the fewest points available in it. Whereas it's going to be an equal amount this year, which means a lot of those tasks are going to be easier. They're going to be things that don't require brain power or high level PVM, and I can just mash them out whenever I need more chill stuff to do, which is going to be useful in the long term, both as someone who's going for max points, but also someone who makes contents and needs time to edit videos and get them out and such. Zaya is taking my raid region for one reason. Desert wouldn't be enough combat achievements for the elite CAs, so I can't go desert here along with Tyranwin and Kandarin, and I definitely want to go to Tyranwin because I love Gauntlet. Not that I'm planning to do much traditional Gauntlet, but we'll get to that later. It's just a great solve for so many skills with the thieving into the crafting and smithing. Again, we'll talk about that when it comes to the relics, but Tyranwin has a lot to offer, and it's incredibly fast points region generally. And again, it usually has a lower amount of points, but this year it's going to be equal, so that makes it much more attractive. So yeah, I would prefer to take Desert because I prefer TOA, but I'm taking Zaya because I have to get the elite CAs and I need enough points for that. Mauritania is also an option. It is what I was considering before in my previous video. However, I'm not a fan of the Lithic Scepter. I just don't see myself building into something in the packs that really takes advantage of it at any point. So I'm going towards Zaya instead, because I can definitely use the Nature's Recurve for an early ranged Slayer to sort of get my range training out of the way before I then don't really touch ranged again, but also to just have the sustain to go through Slayer without needing to specialize. Okay, so that sort of goes over briefly what regions I'm picking. Let's talk relics next. I'll show this screen because it's a bit more easy to see, but these are my planned picks at the moment, though it is of course subject to change. I think most of them are pretty set in stone. The only one that is potentially, I mean, there's a couple of things that are like not ideal, but the relics generally this year are a lot weaker than they have been previously. I don't know if that's a hot take, but it is the take I have. I think they've really cooked with the combat packs this year. That's insanely good and where a lot of my excitement from the league comes from. The relics are less exciting to me, definitely. But we've got Endless Harvest here, which is improved from previous versions because it will allow you to infinitely AFK, well, for 30 minutes till you get logged out, at any AFK spot, not just Karam ones like in previous years. We can go mine iron rocks or gem rocks AFK, cut trees, and even if they get cut down, we'll just still carry on cutting logs. It's a pretty damn useful tool, and it's going to be super handy when I'm editing videos, so it's kind of a no-brainer for me. I would have loved to take abundance, but I need to be able to go AFK. If I can go AFK for 30 minutes and still be progressing towards a variety of 50 mil XPs, you know, we've got fishing, woodcutting, and mining here. I can be getting those while I'm editing videos, and that's big for me. In tier 2, there is temptation for Hotfoot, but I think Woodsman is just too powerful in the passive fletching. We can get that to 200 mil really easily if I don't go thieving for the 200 mil, which I might, but this is just, it's kind of an early game relic. I guess I'll probably be doing a lot of Hunter early on because it's a good solve for herbs as well as early prayer from the bone shards, and it'll give us lots of random things like logs that if I want to transmute for fletching or fire making even to get me into Wintertod, then that's an option. It's also going to solve our herb lore long term and our farming by giving us some seeds. It gives herb or tree seeds. We can transmute any tree seed up to a spirit seed and then turn that into Jane at the Farming Guild for a big seed pack. So it's basically infinite seeds, and in my regions I have a lot of patches. I have 3 tree patches and 5 herb patches. So my plan is to farm to get my herb lore solved as well, basically. It's going to mean a lot of early skilling for me. Personally, I'm not planning to go deep onto my packs until probably I've got most of my regions unlocked and I'm a decent way into the relics as well. So yeah, I'm expecting a lot of skilling early on and a little bit less combat maybe with this path, but we'll be doing stuff like Hunter. That'll get us access to moths as well as the Sunlight Hunter's crossbow, which might be vaguely relevant for a couple of the packed unlocks before we go into our ranged build. That being said, we'd have to get a much higher level, but we get fletching anyway, so we can make whatever we want, and this is an early solve for fletching. With Kandarin, we'll be able to buy arrow shafts and feathers, and then eventually once we have the GP we can get broad arrowheads or different types of arrow tips from the Kandarin shop as well, and get our fletching just very quickly 200 milled, which will get me a ton of points to advance through these ranks. Tier 3, Evil Eye. Not a ton of teleports in my regions where it's relevant, but Varlamore has a good few, Zaya has a good few, the other 2 regions have like 2 or 3 each. But I'm not really excited by any of the other relics in this tier. The teleports are kind of shit this year, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if they'd have put the mushroom from Nature's Accord in this tier, I would take it 100% every single time, but they didn't. So Evil Eye, at least I'll be able to teleport around moons. Not that I'm planning to do a lot of moons, but I'm sure there'll be some tasks to complete there at some point at least. So that'll cut me some time there, and it'll get me to raids, which is also a nice spot for barbarian fishing, which is one way that I'll be getting a little bit of passive agility XP through the course of the leagues. Moving on to tier 4, transmutation's a no-brainer. It just does so fucking much. Like I mentioned earlier, we can transmute any tree seeds we get from Woodsman, either up or down to plant them, as well as just going into spirit seeds, handing them in for packs from Jane at the Farming Guild, and getting infinite seeds, essentially, which will solve both farming and herb lore by itself. Not to mention we can transmute bones up or down, maybe less relevant given the fact I'm planning to reload on Soul Harvest, but for some early prayer levels it will be relevant for sure, because I'm sure tier 4 will be unlocked within, I don't know, the first 3 hours maybe. We can then transmute bones up, get our protection prayers online at the very least. Runes as well is a big one, because you can go from fire runes up to chaos and then start going into things that are worth even more money. So this is a good way to make GP early on, because we can just start transmuting from fire runes, get into those catalytics and offload them to any vendor for a shit ton of money. Not to mention, you can also transmute up ores, which we'll be collecting twice as many of infinitely with Endless Harvest. So if I just sit at an iron rock for 30 minutes and get, I don't know, 300 iron or whatever that actually produces, I can just turn those straight into rune with a few transmutations and then sell the rune ore or smelt the bars and then make things with them and make money that way. There's a lot of money available in this relic for sure. Not to mention even gems, you know, I'll be able to auto thief gems, 75 thieving with larcenist in gem stalls in Valamor, but even before that point you can just buy sapphires. Or you can mine the gem rocks in Shiloh Village, because the Karamjan gems are actually between Diamond and Dragonstone. So it's better to go up from them, actually. Mining rocks in Shiloh Village, transmute them up to Dragonstone. You can make Dragonstones, once you cut them, they're worth like 6k each if you just straight alch them. Or you can forge them into jewelry with gold bars if you have that high crafting level, and alch that for even more value. Basically, this solves money making, it solves farming through the infinite seeds, it solves early prayer training, it solves our rune situation just in the late game because it can get us up to wrath runes, which we're going to be using for surge spells. It solves planks because we can make things into mahogany, fire making because we can go all the way up to redwood. Yeah, transmutation is just too powerful. I usually like to take the clue relic, but this is way too good. Oh yeah, and it's going to train our magic up, so we'll have a super high magic level by the time we actually care about using it. Alright, my tier 5 is sort of a double pick because it's where I'm planning to reload into Soul Harvest, but Larcenist, as I already mentioned, is going to solve so many things for me. We can infinitely thieve gems if I want without buying them first. Sure, that's just an application within Valamor itself, but once we get to Taranwin, this is where it really kicks off. With thieving elves, we'll get 10 times resources at a time. Not only is that going to be some decent amount of GP in its own right, it'll be getting you noted fire orbs, which could be used for crafting XP and more GP, and you potentially might get 10 enhanced crystal teleport seeds, which can be traded in for 200 shards each, which makes this an insane method of crystal shard acquisition. And if you don't know, with crystal shards, if you have a massive amount of them and a few crystal armor seeds, for example, you can craft an invent of crystal armor seeds and then revert them all and spend shards to craft them again, and it is the fastest smithing and crafting XP at the same time that you can get. You'll hit the 50 mil in about half an hour probably once you've got this set up with all the crystal shards, and you will have plenty of crystal shards if you are picking Larcenist, which is why it's a kind of no-brainer for me going to Ranwin. It's what's going to make that region just speedy. At tier 6, Culling Spree is the only relic worth taking for anyone, I'm not gonna lie. Like, the rest of the relics are pretty bad here. Grimoire's okay if you want to get your prayers online or if you want ancients without taking desert, but it's just not necessary. It's really not. Culling Spree is such a good solve for Slayer. It's going to help us get annoying tasks done, like collecting imbued heart. I'm sure that will be a league task. It'll help with that by boosting the elites. It lets me pick whatever Slayer tasks I want, gets the benefit of the Slayer Helmai without needing Mauritania. It's just the best relic in its tier, and I will be taking it. As mentioned, reloading currently this is one that's sort of up for potential change as well. I may go flow stakes, it'll just be so valuable over the long term in getting the league done, but that would leave me without a solve for runecraft, and the only real solve for runecraft is Soul Harvest, so I kind of feel obligated to take it with reloaded here, given the fact that we want Larcenist to make full use of Taranwin. And in the last tier, I may be being a little boring, but I'm going for Minion. Flask of Fervor's definitely a consideration, given the fact we can use Evil Eye to teleport to the Gauntlet entrance and enter and reset our flask, and then go back to whatever boss we're doing. But Minion's just so fucking good, and it collects everything for you this year. I have been a fan of Minion on previous years, even when it's less attractive, just because the DPS it gives is so insane, and the DPS is even better this year. Not to mention, it's multi-hitting, it hits with the right type of damage, so even when I'm planning to just mage everything, even when mage isn't the typical style you would use, my minion will at least be putting out the right style of damage, and I'll be supplementing it with the occasional max hit splat. So yeah, minion's great, and it also loots for you this time too, which is even better. So that's sort of talked about everything. The only things I don't have a real solve for is agility, and I'm kind of just planning to do it the hard way. Hotfoot or barbarian gathering are the only ways you can solve agility, really, and I need other things in those tiers, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of laps. I'm expecting to have to do a lot of laps anyway. Previously, if you were taking Kandarin, you would need to do 500 monkey laps, but they're adding points to Kandarin to make it even with all the other regions. Those points have got to be added somewhere. Monkey laps could be 1,000 this time, it could be 5,000 this time, who fucking knows. Ardy is going to be at least 50, Prif is going to be at least 50 laps, Sears is going to be at least 50 laps. I've got a lot of agility course tasks that I'll have to do anyway, so I'm kind of just hoping that I will get a decent portion of 50 mil agility done along the way. Not to mention, I can do barbarian fishing AFK for 30 minutes at a time, which will give me a little bit of passive agility XP. It's probably my best fishing XP per hour in terms of XP per hour, rather than producing a valuable resource. But yeah, agility is the only thing that I'm really lacking a solve for, because my herb lore will be solved by virtue of having infinite seeds, and my cooking will be solved by transmutation as well. I forgot to mention that earlier, but you can just fish like sardines or something, and then up them into whatever your current tier is, cook it all, transmute anything else that you didn't need into whatever its tier is. I'll have the access to the Myths Guild, so I'll be right next to a bank with a range right there, so that'll be no problem at all. I think that pretty much goes over everything in my build relic-wise and region-wise. So let's talk about packs a bit. Now, I've previously talked about how I'm planning to use my resets aggressively. However, when I changed from Mauritania to Zaya, I had to replan them all. They all changed completely. This is what I'm planning to build as my first starter out from the gate. I'll be going up here straight away and then getting towards this node here, and then building out these three afterwards once we've got the triggering ranged echo. And this is just going to be a little melee build. It's not too complex, you know. I'm planning to use the tech plattle thing, whatever it is, from Echo Moxie for the first few tasks. As you can see here, we're going to get 2 points straight away. Defeat a hill giant, honestly, this might come later, because the hill giants, there's 6 hill giants in Valamor, and everyone wants to kill one. That's going to be the lesser demon bottleneck this year, except there's nowhere to form an orderly queue, because they're just in the middle of a pit in the open area. So good luck getting a hill giant early. That might come at like task 24 maybe. But ideally it'd be task number 3 after completing the tutorials. I'm not planning on rushing early combat like I say, so I'll be doing a lot of skilling during the time when people are maybe wanting to get these, but eventually we will get there. One thing I think people are going to overlook for Echo Moxie that I wanted to mention is that you need to do the Heart of Darkness quest, which is going to require 55 mining, 48 thieving, 48 slayer, and 46 agility. So those are some things that you're going to have to keep in mind for your early game if you're planning on a more combat focused route, because you will need 48 slayer levels the hard way. There's no way to get, I mean, other than a Karamja easy diary lamp, there's no way to really skip those early slayer levels. And a good way to get to that quest as well for the thieving and agility is definitely Isle, so I thought I'd mention that. It has slightly lower requirements, so if you can get up to those, perhaps through my plan that is probably going to be to do, once we get to Kandarin, I'll be able to do Fight Arena, that'll put me to 32, and then I can train the agility and probably at Brimhaven, then go do Death on the Isle for a ton more agility. That'll get me enough for the Heart of Darkness once I've also solved the Slayer, and I'll be mining with Endless Harvest, no problem. So yeah, definitely Isle before Heart of Darkness is probably the plan for most people. I just thought I'd mention those because I think a lot of people are probably overlooking the fact that you need that quest done to access the Echo boss and get your first reset online. I don't know exactly when I'm going to unlock different regions, so this is kind of a rough guide, but I'm planning to reset after my Echoes, effectively, starting with Echo Hespori. So I'll have planned to unlock Kandarin and Zaya before I get to my first reset, and until then we will have 12 points, and this is the build. I'm just going melee. This will help me kill Hespori really easily as well. Like, Echo Hespori is not an issue, and it's a melee boss, so I can be in this. Once we've got the Hesp Bow, Nature's Recurve, that gives us healing and prayer restoration, I'm going to reset, head into a ranged Slayer build with bows ramping up every time I hit without taking damage. For Slayer, I should never really be taking damage because I can just keep my prayer up infinitely. The bow is going to be restoring my prayer, no problem at all. And we've got like extra chance to regen here, so we get more echoes off, faster attacks, more prayers, just some good stuff, and it'll build up even further as we progress through the Slayer tier. We'll get some more benefits, extra chance for echoes, echoes triggering echoes, some prayer penetration for anywhere that's relevant, like demonic gorillas, and some more rune regeneration there as well at the end. This one's kind of a dead node, but it's just one that we path to for the prayer pen and rune regen. Not rune regen even, ammo regen, you'll know what I mean. After that, I'll be focusing on Echo CG. Staff go brrrr. We have a 90% prayer penetration with this build, which means that we'll basically be ignoring Huddle-less protection prayers, and staff is going to be one tick in the gauntlet, so I'm just going to farm Echo CG with this build for like 3 points, and then once we've got all the points from Echo CG, I'll have planned to have done all the Slayer grind by this point, so I'll be at like 95 Slayer for the Dragon Hunter Lance. We'll have all the drops from Hydra and Thermae. We'll get all the drops from CG, equip a corrupted weapon, and kill Echo Hunluff itself is 3 points. Once we've got those done and gauntlets out of the way, we respec into the final build. And this folks is crazy. I was planning to go Earth Magic originally, but I did a bunch of DPS calcs, and I found that this was just insanely better. I'll be using it for everything from this point. So there's a bunch of Kraken farm in here. We've got Demonic Gorillas, Zora, Inferno, Badorvis, Doom, Yama, Cox, Colosseum. Basically all the high-end content I will be doing with this build because it is just nutty, and we will be working it up even further for some more accuracy and regen and prayer penetration, a tiny bit of thorns damage here, so it's only going to get better as well as we progress. And let me tell you why this build's so good. It's this node right here. Air spells have a plus 1% chance to max it for every 1 prayer bonus. It's doubled against enemies weak to air spells. Now, if you remember, I said Kandarin was super important because it gives us the Devil's Element and the Shadow Flame quadrant. Using these, I can't remember which one it is, but one of them, and I'll be using both anyway, one of them gives every enemy elemental weakness. So every enemy is weak to air spells while I'm using the quadrant and the Devil's Element, which means every enemy has double the chance. So basically, 1 prayer bonus is plus 2% chance to max it. That means if you have 50 prayer bonus, you've got a 100% chance to max it. Every attack. If you miss, it's a miss, fair enough. But if you hit, if your accuracy is high enough, you will max it every single time, as long as you have 50 prayer. And that is relatively easy to achieve. Just before I go into the DPS calculator and show you what this can do, we also have the benefit of water spells because we're pathing so nearby to get this anyway. We may as well go up here. Not only will they do 20% more damage if we're at full health, which does scale upwards by the way, and we can overheal up to 188 hit points with these 3 nodes. All our water spells are going to heal us for 60% of damage dealt. And like I say, we can overheal to 188, so we basically have a double hit points bar with this build. Whenever we're below 188 or whatever, I can just chuck out a water spell, heal back up, I'm all good. Then we're on air spells for the rest of the time because the DPS is just too fucking nutty. I didn't mention this node earlier, but another aspect of this is that air spells deal plus 7% damage for each active prayer, which means you can just slap on a load of low level prayers instead of something like Augury and it will be way more effective. I've got this Thorns node here because I'm planning to go into Echo Boots and a Suffering. Both of those have big prayer bonus on them, so we want them anyway, and thus you may as well get some extra damage out of the Thorns when they do trigger by getting that 1% of your total defense bonus. Is probably going to be like 20 damage or something whenever Echo Boots or Suffering triggers, which is way better than it would be otherwise. So how does this actually work in practice? Well, as you can see up here, my optimized build can kill a Jaltok Jad, that is a Jad in the Inferno, in 7.9 seconds. That is because every time I hit him with my 91% accuracy, I will hit for 109 damage. That's every 3 ticks, by the way, because we're speeding up our elemental spells by 2 ticks. So every 3 ticks, we hit 109 damage, or we hit a 0. We've got 8.5% chance to hit a 0, 91.46% chance to hit a 109. Seems pretty fucking good, right? It's because it is. Against targets with higher magic level or higher defense, this becomes slightly less optimal, this setup. I never actually talked about the setup, did I? So we've got the 50 prayer bonus. We get that basically through Sunfire Fanatic Helm and Legs, plus the Bone Crusher necklace that drops completed from Alchemical Hydra. We've got Crystal Blessing for another +5. The Ardy Cloak gives us 4 or 5 prayer bonus. The Suffering, the Echo Boots, and the Confliction Gauntlets all have prayer on them as well. So this is a very specific or optimized setup with, you don't need the full Sunfire, because that with the Dragonbone necklace would go over 50 prayer, which is just overkill. Like Sunfire with an Occult isn't as good as an Ancestral Top and a Bone Crusher necklace instead of the Occult. This works out better in most cases. Until you've got the optimized build, like as soon as I get out of CG, this will basically be the build I have, other than maybe these 2 bottom slots might be different. And at that point, I'm still going to have really good DPS, especially against things that I need to be more accurate against. And you can see on some of the higher level enemies, say if we take a Doom at a Deep Delve, it's actually better to go back to the optimized build again, even though there's no weakness here. It's kind of just a case-by-case basis. You have to look up, like Yama, we're on the optimized build, is the best. Left Claw, we're on the optimized build. So, okay, just for clarification, this is the melee hand of the hand that you're meant to melee. Everything that's not melee is capped at a max hit of 35. We still kill it in 37 seconds, which is faster than the Scythe with no masteries, but like fully stacked out gear. The Scythe is still slower than Mage on the melee hand of is what I'm telling you. Let me show you an extreme example. Soul Heredit. The Scythe might be better here, but Ancestral's not bad either. 143 seconds over 106. Even against something like Soul Heredit, it's only 40 seconds quicker to use a Scythe with no melee spec than it is to use Ancestral. If I don't have a Scythe, then I may as well just use Ancestral. Yeah, I've only got 26% accuracy. When I do hit, I'm hitting for 85 every time. And that's an enemy that has a ridiculous magic level and no elemental weakness. If we take any enemy with an elemental weakness, say Yama, we're just absolutely destroying him. 47 seconds to kill Yama, like 6 seconds to kill a regular Jad. This build's nuts. Take a look at Kraken, something incredibly easy to hit. We can kill it in 5.4 seconds with an overall DPS of 64. That is disgusting. I'm sorry, but I can't say any more. It's just disgusting. I don't think any build can compete with this. Oh yeah, and we're at 188 hit points and we can swap over to a water spell, which will hit less, granted. Like if I take my optimized build here and put a water spell in it instead, it will get the DPS for that. So a water spell, granted, it's only going to hit for 106. That being said, we we can put augury on instead. We don't need all that crap on it. If we bring an occult switch, then, you know, it gets even better. If we bring actual switches and hit for 114 with a water spell, still pretty decent. It's like half the DPS, but it's also healing us for whatever we hit 60% of, and over healing us. I'm sorry, I'm probably blabbing a bit too much at this point, but I can't stress how good this build is. It's going to be useful literally everywhere. All the endgame content I'm planning to do, I can just mage it regardless. Like, maybe I want to scythe Soul in particular, if I have a scythe, but if I haven't got all 3 mega rares yet and I want to go get my Colosseum done, I'm fine. I can just slap on Ancestral and Soul will go down in like 2 minutes, less with Minion helping out. So yeah, that is my plan, everyone. We've got all the relics we've gone over the packs. It's planned every step of the way, and this build is going to go absolutely nutty at endgame. We can, you know, kill things like, let's say, a Mutter Dial in a CM raid. 8 seconds. That's all I've got to say. Good luck in the league. Let me know what your plan is in the comments down below. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm going to be streaming my own league start for at least the first few hours before I then go into making video content. With all that being said, look after yourselves, be lovely to one another. See you on the next one.